All right, April 14th, the day before tax day. Maybe this video will apply in some funny way. I am going to title this Forbearance, Defined Hinduism, Buddhism. This I have read so many times, tried to practice somewhat, but I missed the importance of it. And I'm going to kind of rifle through the paths defined by a couple of the great gurus and then the word. I missed it, and I think it's immensely important, and you'll get it as you listen. Maybe, yeah, all I can say is I missed. Now, I will say that the word forbearance, when I looked it up, I missed it as I looked it up in English dictionary, and I think it misses the point. I also missed it because I think this might have been one of the great barriers or milestones that I needed to work on. And so I just kind of glossed over it or something. I don't know. But I will say forbearance does not mean uh, go and get walked on and be milk toast and don't handle things. Let's just get that out of the way. So, forbearance. These are just the books, the great books in Hinduism. I always have them up first. Forbearance. Sri Shankara of the 700s AD, he has a great path, one of the great paths, I think, to liberation, self realizations. And I'm not going to get into all of it. I've done videos on it. I just think it's fabulous in his book, Shankara, The Crest Jewel of Discrimination. And he says, of the steps to liberation, and number two, he says, then comes the practice of tranquility, self control, and forbearance. I highlighted and underlined it. There it is. And forbearance. I remember once I finally went, I don't have that. That's something to work on. But I still hadn't looked up fully forbearance. Now I'm just going to read this because it's so important. Thus, in his path, the wise man reaches the highest state in which consciousness of subject and object is dissolved and infinite unitary consciousness alone remains. And he knows the bliss of nirvana while still living on earth. Fabulous. Go get the book Shankara and see what it has to say. But there's the word. We have to develop that, practice that. We're not going to necessarily be perfect, but we can sure practice it. Then comes the practice. Buddha then talks about something that I've also done videos on, which I think is immensely important, the four immeasurables. And he taught the four immeasurables, loving kindness, compassion, appreciative joy, and equanimity, in order to remove ill will, cruelty, jealousy, clinging, and aversion. Clinging and aversion, cravings and fears, pushing things away, actually attaches us to the body and to livingness. And we have to handle that stuff to find self realization. So he defines that. Equanimity in Buddhism means to have a clear minded, tranquil state of mind, not being overpowered by delusions, mental dullness, and agitation. Kind of fits the old Shankara up here of tranquility, self control, and forbearance. So then we go to some, you can just look these up. I did this morning. Forbearance defined in the vedantasociety.org, bearing all suffering without resistance, anxiety, and grumbling. I think that's a great word. Is called forbearance. Of course, they talk about it more, but I just wanted to put that. Isn't that interesting? Stuff is going to happen in life. Maybe even in meditation, you gain some grand self-realization or something. But then you get into the real world and stuff can happen. I think it was the great Swami Sarvapriyananda that said, things can happen. You can end up having to deal with difficult people or pains, anxieties, worries. It's everywhere. But you can gain the tools and skills to deal with it. And I think forbearance is an unbelievable word here. This is a great one, a mysterious mixture of mercy, sympathy, pity, compassion, patience, endurance, forgiveness, and strong will. So you can see how this is all interlaced, interrelated. Forbearance in Buddhism emphasizes patience and tolerance, particularly during hardships, illustrating a vital quality for achieving enlightenment and compassion. It embodies enduring suffering without retaliation. Fabulous. Ugh. Yeah, I've retaliated sometimes in my life, not getting in some big old brawls or fights, but just inside. Oh, crucial for future Buddhas in liberating sentient beings. It embodies enduring suffering without retaliation, crucial for future Buddhas in liberating sentient beings. I probably stumble on that because that's great stuff. Forbearance, tranquility. It's all right there. Self-control. I only once saw someone with complete forbearance in life. And I'm just going to describe it really quickly. It was a good friend of mine. And we were both getting harassed and yelled at by an executive. And boy, was I angry. So that I was not practicing forbearance. I was really, and I held on to that. Maybe that's a very important point, is I held on to it for, yeah, for quite some time. And I kept looking at him. It was like he was just in complete bliss. It was the complete opposite of me. Now, the real interesting part of this is then we left, is the next day, it's almost as if nothing stuck to him. I remember once reading about some yogi that just nothing stuck. He was so pure that nothing stuck to him. But this particular individual, even the next day, this executive didn't go after him, but went after me. It's like his forbearance freed him. My lack of forbearance didn't. So I just think that's an amazing story, and I have seen it not in me, but in others. I think that's really something. And I think when you have that, you then have this immense power or strength to just be. And if you have to do what's needed in life, just going to leave it at that. I read more and more on this, the importance of this and the challenge of achievement in our life and meditation. It is really only a goalpost. It even said on those definitions when I read a little more that very few people get full forbearance. But what they can do, it's right up here in that definition, that we practice. Where was that? Well, anyway, we practice compassion, tranquility. Then comes the practice of tranquility, self-control, and forbearance. What a great tool. What a great skill. Something to achieve. Is it full forbearance in all situations and atom bombs exploding? I don't know. I really don't know. But I think that's really, really a good template of like a model when you're meditating. If things come up, letting them go, just letting them poof away. Look up mindfulness meditation to see how that works. So you're focusing on something and letting it go away. Maybe even seeing how you should react in particular situations. I'm just thinking out loud now. But you can't get rid of everything forever. But you sure can develop forbearance. I think that's really something. I think that's really powerful. All right, there you go.